Okay, so how did we get where we are today? The first thing I did was I figured out that they wanted to see these three things: original cost, markup amount, and the final price. These bottom two are math, and this top one is going to be input. So I copy and paste this up here, and then I copy and paste these two down here, and then figure out the math. So the final price is simply going to be original cost plus the markup amount. And the markup amount is going to be what the original cost is times the markup rate. And that's going to be like 100, 200. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here, or 1, 2, 3, either 100%, 200%, or 300%. All right, so now all I have to do in my decision is figure out what my markup rate is. That's why we use the bottom-up methodology, because I don't want to have too much stuff in here, and if I'm doing this math 3 times in there, then it's wrong. All right, so then I have to make decisions to figure out my markup rate, and the first one is going to be, well, there was the original cost. The reason why that's got to be first is that that is going to be that's going to be my highest one. So you can see that markup, that's 500. So it's going to be standard and then 235. So since 5 times is the highest markup, and that's what we want to actually place on our item, we start with the highest one first. If it was a discount, we would start with the highest discount first. And then, so this is going to give me my highest one. If that's true, then I put the 5 into the markup rate. Else if means if it's not true that it is greater than the high price item, then I'm going to look into crazy rich and see if it's yes. If it is, I'm going to put the family markup, which is the next one up, it's 2. And then opulent is the next one. And I mean, that's going to be 3 is family, and then 2 is a zip code one. And I'm done. So that's as simple as it is. Okay, then when I come down and flow chart it, well, this is my human algorithm then. My human algorithm is different. And that's because I don't need to ask if it's crazy rich, even ask that question, if the price is over. So I'm going to say, if it's true that it's great price, and do this. Else, and I can't use an else if here, because if it's not true, I first have to ask a question. So I'm going to ask this question, then I'm going to see if that question is yes. If it's yes, then I'm going to mark up this. If it's not true, then I'm going to ask the next question. So that's why the human algorithm in this case is much different from the problem statement, and that's because in our problem statement we always group our input together. And in our human algorithm, though, it doesn't make sense for the human to ask all those questions if the price is over 5,000. So you wouldn't want to say, oh, what's the price of the item? And they say 10,000, and you say, okay, is it crazy rich? And you go, wait a minute, why are you even asking me that? It doesn't make any sense, because you've already gotten the highest markup. And then I flow charted it the same way. So if it's greater than the high price, then it goes this way. Else it goes this way. Again, so we have else and then input, not else and then if. So else and then input, and then we have an if. And if that's true, we do this. If it's not, then we ask another question, and then we make another decision. Okay, we get down to the bottom, then we code it. Now, I'm going to go right back up again to human algorithm. This is really what I'm coding. But in the past, we've copied this whole thing and pasted it into HTML-Kit, and that was fine. But now it's not fine, because we want to use the build and test methodology. So what I've done is, this is my code so far. So what I've done is, these are my blank places in memory, which is our input and as a result of our calculations. This is our assignments that are our constants that have the constant information. This is our first input, and then I put the bottom math and the output at the very bottom, because I don't want to make a big, huge, complex decision structure and then find out what I've done is incorrect. So we know at this point I'm going to have to do this. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this. In fact, let me go ahead and go ahead and copy both of these right here, and then paste them into HTML-Kit. Normally I would paste the whole thing, if you remember, but we're not going to do that this time. And I must have missed the I. So there's if. So this is in JavaScript syntax, and that's fine. There's no equal sign, so we don't have to add a second equal. But I do have to add a brace. And I'm going to say that start high price. And if it's high price, then I do this. Whoops. And then I close the brace. And this is stop high price. So I can go ahead and test it now by going ahead and previewing it. And I have a syntax error on 3. Let's see what I've done. I guess I should have tested number 3. Oh, I got script twice. What? In fact, let me get rid of this one right here. Oops. Alright, let me run it again. 26. I guess I should have tested this first. Alright. Oh, I got 2 script tags again. See, I copy and pasted it from somewhere else. Alright, so let's go ahead and try it again. Alright, so if it's 10,000, which is a high price, I click OK. And it tells me that I've got that. My markup is 5,000 5 times, so that's good. Whoop, but this is wrong. See how it's joining, not adding. So that means that I've already found my first error, actually my third or fourth error, but I need to fix this because it's bringing in 10,000 as text. So I'm going to convert it. Conversion. And I'm going to say I have a place in memory called original cost. And I want to assign to that place in memory was returned when I use the parse int function, open and close parentheses, semicolon. Then what goes in there is original cost. I'll copy drag that over. And what I'm saying is take this text 10,000, put it here, use parse int to change it into 10,000 binary, and then store it here. So now if I preview it, I can say 10,000, and now it's working correctly. So that's why we use the build and test methodology. I don't want to write a bunch of code and then test it and find out I've had a problem from the very beginning. Alright, probably should have tested it once before that. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to do my else. And then I'm going to have a brace. So what is this? What does this else stand for? It stands for start not high price. Alright, so else means that it's not true that it's a high price. Alright, if it's true, then I'm going to have to do that input. So I'm going to have input crazy less yes no. So let me go ahead and copy that and paste it in. Alright, so this is going to be our input. Probably didn't need the word input. So I'm going to say I'm going to assign to Crazy Rich what's returned from my prompt when I ask let's see, is this from a just a Crazy Rich. Family. Alright, let me move this over a little bit. I'm running out of room. Family. Question mark. Yes, no. And of course, we want to test this, so we're going to put yes. Then close that parenthesis and semicolon. Move it over again so we can fit everything. Alright, so now I have that prompt in there. And now I have to make a decision based upon that prompt. So I'm going to say that if, and then open and close parentheses. I'll come back to my problem statement and say if Crazy Rich equals yes. So I'll copy that. Might as well go ahead and paste it in here. So if Crazy Rich equals yes. Now remember we have to use equal equal. All right, then after that, I'm going to have a start brace. Start, create, crap. I hate Windows. Crazy rich. All right, and if it's true, then I'm going to go ahead and do the markup rate. All right. I don't know what that is. Okay, so the markup rate equals family markup. And then I'm going to end crazy rich. All right, so I have 2 stops and 2 starts, but I haven't stopped this, so I have to make sure I come down here and I add end or stop not high price. Okay, so for every start I have to have a stop, so I need to go ahead and stop that. Now we have a stop and starts for each one. I'll go ahead and this time I'll preview it, but I'll preview it with 1,000. All right, because 5,000 is the cutoff. So it's 1,000. Yes. And now it's 3, which is what I'm expecting, and then everything is working out. So I know that that is correct. So now I come down and go to my next decision. And that's else. And this is start not crazy rich. And then in here I'm going to have to make a decision, or I'm going to have to ask a question. So I'm going to come back here. This is if opulent. No, I have to do input first. Opulent zip, yes, no. And again, I have to say that I want to assign to that place in memory what's returned from my prompt when I ask this question. Is it from a opulent zip? Question mark. Yes, no. And then this will be yes. Okay, and then this has to stop. There you go. And then I'm going to change this to no because I want this to, I want to test this other one. So no. All right, but now I have to end that brace. No, I actually have to do an if statement now. Now I'm going to say if opulent equals yes. I'm going to go ahead and copy these next 2. I'm running out of time. Okay, so if opulent text equals 0, yes, and then whatever this thing is. Okay, then I have to have a brace to start it. Start opulent zip semicolon, and then end opulent zip. Okay, and now the other thing I have is I started this not crazy rich, and I have to end that. So again, this, if you do the build-in test, you're less likely to forget a closing zip. Because if we try to put braces in after writing all our code, stop not crazy rich. So if I comment these, if I'm missing one, and this one right here would be, and these 2 right here would be ones I would normally, or would be a good indication that I would forget. So I only do this. Let me see, I think that works. So preview 1,000, no, yes. And now multiplier of 2. That's great. All right, so the next thing we can do is this, and that is else markup standard markup. But I have a better idea. Let's reduce the complexity of our one by coming up here and making it so that everything is the standard. So we'll do var. Let's go back up here. Come on. And we'll do markup rate equals the standard markup. So standard markup is going to be 1. We're going to put 1 into the markup rate. And then, let's see, we don't need this here. So we lessen that complexity. And we don't have an extra else. And since I've used my build and test methodology, I don't have to worry about braces, because now I'm done. So the build and test methodology is the fastest. Let me preview it. 1,000, no, no, and there's our 1. We have just tested it, and we are complete, and we're ready to go ahead and upload it.